Good morning, and today is AMI day number 3. I am Mrs. Phipps from the Falcon team, and what I want to do is go over some items that you want to put on your note card and or review with you what's going to be on the test. So all you need is a piece of paper. We're just going to take some notes and go over what's going to be on that test. So the first thing we talked about, or one of the things, this might not be in the order that we learned it, but that's okay, is that we're going to add positive and negative numbers, or fractions, or decimals, or anything else. So these rules apply for everything. And these are in your Coral packet. They're also on your green sheet. So I'm just giving you another opportunity to see this information. So if I'm going to add positive and negative numbers, if the signs are the same, what do? That's right, we're going to add. We're going to add the absolute values. Now, the reason I say absolute values is because mathematically that is correct, but if I were doing my notes on a note card, I would just put the word add. Okay? So, note card has to be really short, so you don't have to put everything on there. The signs are the same, then add and the sign stays the same. Whoops. And the sign stays the same. Okay? If the signs are different, then what do? We subtract the absolute values. And we take the sign of the larger. Absolute value. Oops, can't see. There we go. So subtract, take the sign of the larger. Okay, that's adding and subtracting positive. That's adding positive and negative numbers. And if I'm going to subtract, this one's really fast and easy. If I'm going to subtract, the first thing I'm going to do, change, begins with a C, not an S, change the subtraction to addition, and whatever follows the subtraction sign to its opposite. And then you're just going to follow the rules for addition. Okay, so if I have 5 minus 15, and whatever follows, and change subtraction to addition, and whatever follows it to its opposite. Follows subtraction. And if I were you, I would put this in my own words. I'm just trying to give you an idea. So if I have 5 minus 15, the first thing I do, first number stays the same, subtraction goes to addition, whatever follows to its opposite. If I have 4 minus negative 2, okay, I'm going to rewrite it to be 4 plus positive 2. Okay, moving on. So that's subtraction. Okay, so you're going to do these two things. Change subtraction to addition, whatever follows it to its opposite. That's what this means. Change subtraction to addition, or whatever follows subtraction to its opposite. Then you're going to follow the rules for addition. So go back up to what we just talked about. Okay, and that's true for whole numbers, fractions, decimals, whatever. Okay, if I'm going to add, subtract decimals, okay, I must line up decimal point. If I am going to multiply, decimals, okay, and again, look at your notes. Maybe I worded it better another time, or maybe your teacher worded it, or somebody worded it better than I did. Feel free to use those. So if I multiply decimals, I'm going to just, first off, ignore the decimal point. Just multiply. Just multiply. Ignore the decimal point right now. 2. Now, count the number of decimal places in the problem step 3, move the decimal point from, I have a better way of saying that. Okay, so you're going to count the number of decimal places, and then in the problem, and then you're going to have that many decimal places in the answer. Starting from the right, move it over, okay? So have that number, what you got up here in step 2, what you got up here, have that number of places in the answer. And again, when you're making your note card, you're not going to maybe have all this information. You have to decide what is going to be important. And maybe you know how to multiply decimals, and don't write everything down that I wrote down. Okay? So, quick problem. If I have 2.3 times 7.26, okay, I'm going to multiply. Now, I like to, whatever has the most digits, I like to put that up at top. But it doesn't matter. I'm going to multiply. Hopefully I do it right. I'm going to add. And if I'm going too fast, then just pause your video. Okay, so I've multiplied. I'm now going to count the number of decimal places. I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places in the problem, so I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 decimal places in the answer. Okay, good. Next page. So moving on to divide decimals. Okay, what you have to keep in mind for dividing decimals is the second number has to be a whole number. So if I were making notes, I might actually say, change second number to a whole number. Or I might just put an example of a problem on my notes card so that I remember how to do it. Okay? And whatever I move my decimal point in that second number, I have to move it in the first number. So move decimal point in first number the same number of places. Make sure to move your decimal point up in the answer. And I'll show you what I mean by that. We're not going to divide this whole thing. If you want to see division, go to a Google Meet. Come to a Google Meet with your teacher. Okay? Happy to do that. Google Meets are listed on Schoology as to when we're available. So if I take, let's say, 215.75 divided by 0.25. Okay? No, I'm just going to go 0.5. Yep, I'm changing the problem. You should be using a pencil anyway, or an erasable pen, because we're in math. Okay? So move the decimal point one place. So that means I have to move the decimal point one place here. So I'm going to have 5 divided into 2,157.5. So now when okay, so I've moved the second number one place, I moved the first number one place, however many number of places. Then I want to move my decimal point up into the answer. It's right here. I move it up to the answer to begin with. Then I start doing the division. Okay? Great. Moving on. If I want to add and subtract fractions, I must have a common denominator. Must have common denominator. Only add numerators. Oh, whoops. Hey, forgot a little step there. Hold on, I'm going to pause and erase. Okay, so I erased that next one. You must have a common denominator. Then you need to rewrite, if you did not have a common denominator, you must have one. If you already have one, just add the numerators. Rewrite fractions with new denominator. Okay, make sure you change the numerator. Okay. Again, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, this is just steps. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, look back in your notes. Go to a Google Meet. Ask your teacher. Then we're going to add numerators only. Denominator just stays the same. Make sure answer is in lowest terms. Okay, that's adding and subtracting fractions. Multiplying fractions. Okay, I'm going to put this on here just so you remember. Notice how this one needs a common denominator? Don't get a common denominator. When you're multiplying, don't get a common denominator. Okay, you don't need it. It's a waste of your time. Okay, and it's confusing to what people are doing. So remember, with multiplying fractions, there's actually two options. Option 1. Now, option 1, just to let you know, might not be the best if you have big numbers. Okay, first, multiply across. Oops. Meaning numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. Make sure answer is in lowest terms. Okay? And that's the way that works every single time. Okay? Option 1 works every single time. It's just that sometimes you're going to have too big of numbers, and also you might save some steps by using option number 2. Option number 2, you're going to start off by seeing if there's anything cross-cancel. So you're going to cross-cancel. Okay, and again, go back to your notes if you're not sure what I'm talking about. Reduce what the top and the bottom are. So, for instance, if I have 4 over 15 times 3 over 24, okay? I can cross-cancel. See how both the 3 and the 15 are divisible? And also look at those big numbers. I don't want to multiply 15 times 24. So I'm going to divide out a 3 here, divide out a 3 here. Still not liking that 24, but luckily, look at this. I can reduce the 4 and 24. I can divide both of those by a 4. Divide by 4, divide 24 by 4, and I get 6. And then look, I just multiply across. Okay? So cross-cancel. And then step 2 is go do what I just said in option 1. Okay? So that's the only difference with option 2. To divide fractions. And again, if I'm going too fast, just pause. Okay? Until you have it written down. That's the beauty of a video. You can just pause and write it down. To divide fractions, here's what you're going to want to keep in mind. Keep, change, flip. Okay? Keep the first fraction as it is. Change, division, to multiplication. and then flip, meaning change the second fraction to its reciprocal. To its reciprocal. Okay? So just a quick 2/3, divide it by 1/5. I'm going to keep the first fraction, change division to multiplication, flip the second fraction. Then I'm going to use my rules for multiplication. Make sure your answer is in lowest terms. Okay, I need to go to another piece of paper. Another thing we talked about was difference and distance. With difference, you want to subtract in the order that is given. You're going to subtract. On both of these, you're going to subtract. But subtract in order given. So if it says dolphins and then seagulls, I take dolphins minus seagulls. Now distance, on the other hand, and dolphins are going to be below the sea level, so that's going to be a negative number. Seagulls are going to be above. But it doesn't matter. With difference, I subtract in the order that is given. For distance, I subtract big minus small. So in this situation, seagulls is going to be a bigger number, so I'm going to take whatever the number is for the seagulls and subtract the dolphins. I have to go the big number minus the small number. Difference, I subtract in the order given. Okay, so let's say that this is -3 and this is 12. Okay, then I would take 3 minus 12 for difference. With distance, I would take the bigger number. Oh, hey, wait a second. This would be a -3. It'd be a -3. Hello, that was below sea level. Big minus small, I would take 12 minus -3. Now on both of these, you want to change them to addition and then use your rules for addition. So you're going to rewrite them as addition, then use your rules for addition. Okay? Other things to know is what is if I am overdrawn, what does that mean? Or an overdraft. What does overdrawn mean? Look that up. Okay? Hey, you can do it lots of different ways. What does it mean as far as positive and negative numbers? Is a deposit and a withdrawal, are those positive or negative numbers? Okay? Think about that. If I have a credit to my account, positive or negative? Debit, positive or negative? Okay? So overdrawn, negative. Deposit, positive. Withdrawal, negative. Credit, positive. Debit, negative. Okay? You can always rewind if you miss what I just said. We then talked about evaluated expressions. Let me tell you what I'm talking about here. If I have x plus y, and they tell me that x is equal to -5 and y is equal to 7, or they could give me x minus y, or they could give me 2x times whatever. They could give me lots of things, but they might give me this. What I have to remember to this is I'm going to plug these values in. I'm going to take these values and I'm going to plug it in here. Take those values and plug it in, and then use your rules for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay? We have that equation thingy. Look at your review. You might want to draw a picture. You might want to draw a number line. You might want to just think out loud. What would that happen? And then my suggestion on that is practice those. So that is on your review. Look at that. The only other problem that wasn't on our review that we did in homework, not saying it's going to be on the test, but remember from Unit 14, from Lesson 14, and this is on the back of the mixed review, where we did that word problem like we had something like, I'm going to make one up, so I'm going to pause and make one up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is not equations. This is a whole other thing. The tank holds 15 gallons. It drains at 2 gallons per minute. How long until the tank is empty? Okay, so this is a problem. You can do lots of different things, and you might have bigger numbers, smaller numbers. Okay, so look back at the notes. We did these, I believe, I don't remember, but you can look it up. And we also did it in your workbook in Lesson 14, Unit 5, Lesson 14. I believe it was page 193. Okay, so if I'm going to do this, lots of different ways I can do it. I can do a double number line. I could just keep subtracting. I could do lots of things. Okay, so this is another example. I'm just going to do a quick little double number line, and we're going to talk about, let's see, we're going to go with gallons up here. We're going to go minutes down here because it doesn't really matter. At 15 gallons, I'm at 0 minutes. Okay? And it would have been smarter to put these in a different order. Hey, you know what? I can erase. So I'm going to put minutes up top. For some reason, that makes more sense to me. Okay, so I'm going to put minutes up here. And I'm going to put gallons down here. So at 0 minutes, I'm at 15 gallons. At 1 minute, I would be at 13. At 2 minutes. Okay, you see what I'm doing? At 3, so finish that, keep going, and then we're going to compare. Okay? I subtracted wrong. Okay, at 1 minute. So at 7 minutes, we're at 1 gallon. So at 8 minutes, we're going to be empty, because it's going to go out someplace between 7 and 8. But at 8 minutes, we will be totally empty. Okay? And again, if you wanted to go back over that, you can. But I just want to give you a quick review. Hey, we're going to see you on Monday. Make sure that note card that you have this note sheet ready, and look at Schoology to find out what else you need to do for today. Thank you very much. Have a good day and stay safe and warm.